up from where we left last time. Remember I told you that when the enemy knows the value, the thing that God has put in you, you'll be attacked from left, right, and center. And sometimes when I see battles, I know why they're happening. So remember, now I've gotten a good job, okay? Now at least I can confidently say I have a job, you know. And then an incident happened. So where we used to stay in accommodations, yeah? And I remember we were 2 Kenyans and there were, I think, 2 Nepalese. So Nepalese people, they love cold they love cold foods. They just love baridi. They just love that. So we used to have a bit of you know, AC. So me, I don't like that cold because nitakuwa mgonjwa, kifua inafungana. And then they like it. So me nikipunguza, she goes there and anaongeza. So masawa, that was the first incident. Number 2, so when I go do my laundry and my clothes are dry, she would come, wash her clothes and put on mine. I said, now, Apana, this is now too much. So I confronted her. When I confronted this girl in the room, she became very defensive. Very defensive. My goodness. The next thing that happened, until today I can't explain it. She was going to the bathroom, and I remember this anger in me. And I was like, Apana, no. So we started fighting. And the African in me went all mad. And we fought. And how I came to realize this was a very bad fight, by the way, it was the aftermath. Because me, when I remember I held her here, and I was just, you know, we were just kicking and fighting and, you know, Ghana. Remember, I am a HR assistant. Namindo napigana. So, this girl runs to the camp. There was a camp supervisor. And she says, I wanted to kill her. Because she had marks here. And I think she had some bruises. In Dubai, by the way, you do not fight. Let me tell you, do everything else, do not fight. People can attest to you. You fight, you go home. You're deported. They do not tolerate that. So they said, now this one, the way it looks like, we just have to call the police. My God. Sasa, I've just gotten a job. I've involved myself in a fight. The way it looks does not look pretty because they took photos that they wanted to send out to the HR. And who is in? Yo. So they say they're going to call the police. And I'm there thinking, okay, please do not call the police, just please. But they called the police. The police came. When they listened to the case, let me tell you, this was the favor of God. When they listened to the case, they said, you guys, you just talk about it and agree, because if we take this further, she's going to be deported back home. So the girl just looked and said, I think she didn't understand English well, because she was just saying yes. I was like, good. I'm not going home. At least the police will not deport me. Now, the case now goes to the HR. So I'm called. I was told, no, this is very bad. In fact, the way we see it, you wanted to kill this girl because the bruises on her neck, you wanted to kill her. And so therefore we have to suspend you for 2 weeks as we think of the next course of action. I knew this was over. By the I knew. Because suspension and it's fighting and the position that I'm in the office, there's no other way. What kind of example am I setting? Me, I went home. And I remember now, I was removed from that room. I was put in a different accommodation room. And I remember I found very nice girls in that room. And they were very prayerful. And I remember one girl told me, you know what, Eunice? Even if you do not have faith, please ride on my faith. Ride on my faith. And you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. You're staying. I told her there's no way I'm staying. The way those guys have written that case and the previous case that have been there of such, people just you just lose your job and you go back home. And she told me, you just wait and see. Maybe I waited for the 2 weeks. I got called in the office. Now, with the verdict. I went to the office knowing, by then I even bought a new suitcase because I knew I was going home. I knew this one, there's no way we're salvaging this situation. I am just going back home. So I was called to the office. We sat there. They told me, this case is very bad. It's pretty bad. And we don't expect such from you. You know, you work in the office. What kind of example are you setting and all that? And I was, all these words. But let me tell you, there's a God in heaven. There's a God in heaven, because how he fought for me, I don't even understand today. The same way he moved me from cleaning those toilets to the office to fighting that battle for me, and I got back. I was told, you know what? After the whole thing, they have talked about the whole thing. Me, I'm waiting to be told that we're under your money. No, he said, go back to work the way you are. But I was in jeans and a t-shirt. They told me to go to the office. I didn't even have the uniform. It so happened that time, the visa department, the people who were processing visa for guys, they were understaffed. So I was told, move from the filing department and go to the visa. Let me even cross my legs. Did you hear that? The same day I was supposed to be sent home is the same day I got promoted. The same day I got promoted, because visa team and the filing team, they were two different teams, and the visa team, they were earning more than the filing team. How does that happen? No, you tell me. You tell me, how does that happen? The same day you're supposed to be sent to go back to your country is the same way you get your promotion. If that is not God, me don't ever tell. By the you can't convince me there is no God. He lives. He lives. Now, what I didn't tell you guys is when I got into HR, then I used to live with my very good friend and mom, and she enrolled me to a school, so I used to study. So I was still in school studying HR. So I now I had knowledge and all that. So I went to visa team just like that. Just like that. I was promoted and like that. So when I was going back to the accommodation, people were expecting me to go and pack my bags and go home. Little did they know that girl got promoted, and now she's no longer filing your papers. She's processing people's visas who are coming into the country, in the same company. And that was the happiest day of my life. And that's when I knew that God fights for his own. And he will fight for you battles that you do not even think of. Because how I fought that girl, me, I do not know. But even though it was wrong, God still fought for me. Because he knew my destiny, he knew my purpose, he knew that you're not going to come out of this country just like that. And I stayed there for some time, and then I got another better opportunity in a different company. I resigned, I went and now worked in a different company. But all this is to show you that God is alive. And everything, whether it's a mistake, whether it's something that you did knowingly or unknowingly, he's a forgiving father, he's a loving father, and he will fight for your battle. Exodus 14:14 says, be still, I will fight for you. I will fight for you. And that's how my life changed. And in 2013, I received Christ. And my main purpose, now when I look at my life, when I look at what I've gone through, I knew that I was going to Dubai to know God. Because even the people that he surrounded me with were people who were just godly people. The person that I started living with in Dubai was someone who pushed me to Christ, kabisa. You know, for my purpose was not going to, I was not going there to work per se. I was going there to be baptized by fire, for my pride to be cut off, for me to be put in a place where I have nobody but God, like no one but him. And this is not where even the story ends. So now I'm in a good place. I have a very good salary. Now that dream of helping my mom is now, I'm realizing it. I'm sending my mom money. I am happy. I am, you know. And then I see that was not enough. Now another battle came in. And this I think this was the most difficult time of my life. Struggle, now I'm here, now I'm set to do things. And then I remember I got a call from home, and I was told that, your mom is sick, but don't worry, she's not very sick, but ako sawa. So when I call her, she tells me I'm fine. My mom was a very strong, by the way, my mom, may she rest in peace, she was a very, very, very strong woman. Very strong woman. Hata kama naumwa, she would still pick up the call and laugh. So I didn't know the magnitude of what she was going through. And I remember that lady who used to call me, I told her, listen, by the way, if you guys are not going to tell me what my mom is ailing, whatever it is, what the problem is, by the way, I'm going to resign and I'm going to come back home. I'm going to come back home because if my mom is not okay, I'm not okay. She told me, usijali, ako sawa. So I decided that year to surprise her. I said I'm not going to call her and tell her I'm coming back home. I'm going to surprise you. And I went home. And I booked a flight and I came back home. And I remember getting a call and I was told, hey, by the way, your mom is not at home. She's at your brother's place. So najiuliza mama yangu anafanya nini huko? By then my mom si mtu wa kuenda kukaa kwa watu. She used to like her own life. Yeah, pendi hizo kutokesha watu. She was a very independent woman all through. So I was told she's not at home. I said, okay, sawa. I went to my brother's house. And I found my mom very sick. Very sick. When she saw me, she cried. She was like, Jerry, that's how she used to call me. Jerry, mtoto wangu, umekuja. She cried so much. I've never seen my mom that way, because she never ever showed me her weaknesses. She cried so much, and I held her. And I told her, Mommy, it's going to be good. And she started showing me her medical documents, and she could not sit down. She was in so much pain, and she just cried. Yani, sijawai, I've never seen my mom like that. So in the morning, I told her, you know what, we're going to the hospital. We went to the hospital. I took her to the hospital. I stayed with her, and she was strong throughout. And then I remember, towards her last days, God speaks to me through dreams. And he gave me a dream, and in this dream, I saw we were in a funeral, and people were walking around, including my mom, yet we are in her funeral. Nazikwa, but I can see her walking around. And I cried. But then I came and asked my auntie. I told her, I had this dream, and in this dream, we were burying my mom. When I told her that, she cried, and she had the same feeling, because she's very spiritually tuned. Like she sees and she senses, and she's a very spiritual person. So in fact, that morning her eyes were swollen. She cried the whole night because she knew this was happening. And she told me her spirit is here, but the body is already gone. And this is the worst thing that can ever happen to any child. And I remember we went to the hospital that day, and after the surgery, the doctors told us that we did the first surgery. She did the first surgery, and it was Oh my God. She did the first surgery and it was not very successful. So they had to take her to the second one to do the second surgery. And they told us, they told me that there's 20% chances she'll come back. And I looked up to God and I said, I'm holding you with that 20%. I'm going to lean on that 20% because what I've gone through with my mom, to the point that we're here and I'm able to provide for her. God, you cannot take her just when I'm able. And she went for the second surgery, but before she went, I remember as we were waiting for her to be wheeled into the operation room, there was a lady who was there, and she talked to my mom. She told my mom, by the way, Wanjiru, do you know Christ? And she asked, would you want to know Christ? And my mom said yes. For the first time, she said yes. And this lady led her to Christ. She made her confess, and she did. And I remember looking at my mom and saying, Mom, you know what? I love you. And she told me, I love you too. That is the first time I heard those words, and I told her, no, Mommy, I mean that I love you so much. And she said, I love you too. And I remember just kissing her forehead, and that was it. I don't know why I did it. And I kissed her forehead, and she was wheeled to the operating room. And after hours and hours and hours of surgery, we were just waiting there. And I was thinking, why is it taking so long? They came. No, she came out and she was taken. Sorry guys, I'm really losing it here. She was taken to the ICU because she was now in full support, life support machine. Yeah, she could not. All the organs were failing, and so she stayed there for a day. Then the next day we were called, all of us, for a meeting because they wanted us to decide to make a choice. And I remember that day was very dark for me. That was the darkest day of my life. Everything was dark. I started feeling a lot of fear. I had so much fear. And I remember they were just calling me, come to the hospital, because you cannot make a decision without you. Just come to the hospital. My aunt was calling me, come to the hospital. So I went. And I found them in this room with 2 doctors. And when I got there, I was just saying, God, I still believe in the 20% chance they're talking about. I still believe the 20% chance. I know that you can make, you can bring back the dead to life. And I know this situation is not difficult for you. I've seen you fighting for me before. Please fight for me even now. And that time when we were in that meeting, deciding on what to do with my mom, one nurse came running and called one of the doctors. And the doctor rushed out. Hey, kidogo, she comes again and calls the other doctor. So me, when I saw that, I just ran. I ran after the doctor, and I went straight to the ICU, and I found my mom surrounded by these many people, and they were trying to resuscitate her. She was getting needles everywhere, and at that moment I could not even cry. I started praying, and I told God, it is well, it is well. As long as I know she's coming to you, it's okay. You can take her, it is well. Just make sure she's coming to you. And I was praying loudly. And I could see other patients who were there just looking at me, trying to lift their heads, trying to feel sorry for this child who is about to lose her mom. And as I was praying, I could see the doctors trying to resuscitate her, looking at that machine, trying to see if it's still, if she's still here or she's gone. And then it got to this point, the doctors were so tired, and I remember this doctor removing her gloves and just hugged me and told me, I'm sorry, we have tried our best, but I'm sorry. And at that moment, I broke down into pieces. I have cried before, but that time I
cried so much. I cried so much. I can't even tell you how I felt. I felt like something had come and ripped everything away. And I asked God questions. I asked him, why now? Why now, God? Because I remember we had talked about, my mom really wanted me to get married, and she had planned about, she was telling me she'll come with these 2 buses from, from wherever she used to live, and we would, oh my God, she had these big plans for me. So I was asking God, why now? Why now when things are working so well? And that's how I lost her. That's how I lost the love of my life. That's how I lost the most beautiful, resilient, hardworking woman I've ever known. And I didn't know how to pick myself from that and rebuild myself again. I was asking God, why did you give me this job? Why get me here when you know that you're taking her? But God told me that I'm still your father, and I still love you. And even though she's gone, I am here. I'm your father, I'm your daddy, and I love you, and I will take care of you. And I didn't know what he meant, but he stood in the gap. He stood in the gap, and he's a healer, because every single day he continues to heal. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. And to every child who has lost their parents, God is your healer. God is your father. He loves you, and he does that with a purpose, and he knows you're going to be okay, and he knows that you're still going to utakuwa tu sawa. And I've seen him taking care of me even up to date. The wedding that we were talking about with my mom came to be, and I remember on my wedding day I got so emotional when I was walking to the aisle, because I was like, my mom was supposed to be here, but you saw it fit for you to take her, so it is well. And it's still well until today. He's still our father, and he has taken care of me. And so therefore I have to keep testifying, because when I look back, when I look at what I've gone through to where I am, the steps, the trials, the temptations, the fights, the triumphs, everything, it's all him. So therefore, I had to start with my story, because I want to open room for people to be vulnerable, to share their stories, to not be ashamed of what they have gone through. Imagine if you look at me, would you ever think that I would be somewhere, I'll be cleaning toilets anyway? Would you even know? But I had to go through it, because there was a purpose for my life, and now I realize my purpose. My purpose in life is in line with God. Everything that God has called me to be, that's exactly what I want to pursue. I urge you to tell you that he has not forgotten you. Share your story. That's how you overcome. Your story is your victory. Do not be ashamed of the things that you've gone through. Do not be ashamed of the failed things, the mistakes. And to God, you're not filthy. To God, he looks at you and he sees a child. And he tells you that I love you with an everlasting love. And so I want you to be encouraged and to know that your story, God did not take you through that for nothing. He took you that for his purpose. And the moment you refuse to tell your story, you deny him his glory. So tell your story for him to be glorified. So thank you guys for tuning in. Asanteni sana. If you have a story to share, please send a DM to me. Inbox me. Let's have a talk. And I know that lives will be transformed in this channel, and I want you to know that miracles still do happen. And until next time, may God bless you. Adios.